Kid Shawty Gamer Nation in the building again. Gotta do this video. Um, make sure everything is play, everything is good. People can hear me. So, um, gotta make this video about my thoughts on Ubisoft and content creators critiquing Ubisoft and critiquing Assassin's Creed Shadows. Just to begin and just to say, I have no issue with people making criticisms about Ubisoft or whatever woke agendas they're pushing or whatever political, political agendas they're pushing or whatever woke culture they're pushing, right? I have no problem with people critiquing Ubisoft if they're making lackluster games, right? Like with the Assassin's Creed series, the Tom Clancy series, the Ghost Recon series, which I don't really think Rainbow Six really failed because people still play Rainbow Six Siege to this day. I really have no issue with people coming up with honest criticisms about Ubisoft, and exposing whatever agenda that Ubisoft may be pushing. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, my thing is when they attack Yasuke and they want to challenge the historical facts about Yasuke, right? And instead of them directly coming out and saying, well, we don't like the fact that it's a black guy that's playing a black samurai, right? Because when they're not direct about what their true feelings are, and they make a lot of arguments surrounding how they really feel about Yasuke, it leaves room open for plausible deniability, right? So they could come back and say, well, we're not really racist, we're just making these arguments, like the argument which they had an original storyline for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they scrapped it to put, Yasuke, a black protagonist, in there, and gender swap it to gender swap the female character, Japanese character or protagonist, from a male protagonist to a female protagonist, right? That sets it up, that game, to be woke culture, or sets it up to be diversity. Well, they can't really make the diversity high argument because there's plenty of video games set in Japanese culture and movies set in Asian culture, whether it be Japanese or Chinese or Korean, where you have the white male protagonist, which is technically diversity higher, right? But to the prior point, when you gender swap a character and then now you add a black samurai in there, it sets it up to be woke. You see what I'm saying? But the thing with Yasuke is that he was a historical character. If you pick up the book, Oda Obunaga, it describes Yasuke as something more important to Oda Obunaga than just a weapons bearer or a pet or a slave or a fool. These are the terminologies that a lot of content creators are using upon Yasuke. There's a lot of white content creators and some Asian content creators. Listen, I'm not even going to cap. I've heard Asian content creators and I've heard white male content creators come out and say that, well, first they'll say, well, we don't really know anything about Yasuke and he was really a mysterious figure. But what we do know is that he was just a court jester or a fool carrying weapons. Can those two things exist in the same sentence? If he was a mysterious character, then you don't know the latter of that. You don't know if he was a slave or he was just a weapon bearer. If he was a mysterious character, you really don't know. Right? And they want to ignore the literature that's there. That the Oda Obunaga, one of Oda Obunaga's, I guess, soldiers or somebody that used to be around Oda, one of his followers, right, wrote a book called The Chronicles of Oda Obunaga, where it talks about Yasuke, right? And even in Japanese culture, the Japanese, they never had an issue with Yasuke. in their culture. They never had an issue. Since 1968, or the year of 1968, there was a child's book written about Yasuke, a children's book. And they've always had Yasuke in video games. They always had Yasuke in comic books, part of their lore in Japan. So Japanese culture never had an issue with Yasuke being a samurai or black samurai. They never had an issue with him. You know what I'm saying? And they were set to have Chadwick Boseman play Yasuke in a movie. He's just, unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman, he passed, unfortunately, right? So nobody ever had an issue with Yasuke. What I also find funny is that a lot of the white male content creators, they don't have an issue with the current Shogun, the current movie series, or the current series called Shogun, where it's a white male protagonist that is going to be a samurai. So they don't have an issue when it's a white male protagonist. They don't have an issue if it's they don't have an issue if it's a white male protagonist going to be a samurai in Japanese culture, and he's going to get the love interest that's a Japanese female. Apparently, to white men, that's not being disrespectful to Japanese culture. And they don't argue the historical accuracy of these white men who were samurai in Japanese history, because that is true. You've had white men before Yasuke that were samurai, and after Yasuke that were samurai. You've had German, you had German men that became samurai. You had Italian men, an Italian man that became a samurai, and I don't know. I think John Henry Blackthorne was a samurai. Because remember, the new Shogun series is supposed to be an extension of what you call Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, right? And that leads me to the next argument about Assassin's Creed. They're saying that they had an original storyline for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they changed up the story to put Yasuke in there and to gender swap the male character in there that's not a female, right? Well, you could have made that same argument about Last Samurai. You could have made that same argument about John Henry Blackthorne and Shogun. They didn't have to use white male characters to promote a Japanese culture of movie. What about 47 Ronin, right? 47 Ronin had Keanu Reeves thrown in it, and even though 47 Ronin was a historical event, Keanu Reeves' character was made up. All the sorcery, all the magic stuff that was going on in 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves, with the demons and the dragons and the witches, that stuff was made up. But 47 Ronin was a historical event, right? Why did you white men not argue for 47 Ronin to have a historical Japanese character play that role in 47 Ronin? Because that 47 Ronin was an actual historical event, a movie. Why you guys didn't argue for that? Why are you not arguing for the current series called Shogun to have a Japanese character or warlord or general at that time to be a phenotypical Japanese person? You're not making these arguments for any of these other series, but you want to make the argument for that same argument for Yasuke, which is a logical hypocrisy in my opinion, right? What I say why it's a logical hypocrisy. I say it's that way is because logically it makes sense, but you didn't fit the same logic. You didn't apply that same logic to the same thing when it was with this over here. See what I'm saying? With this over here, you didn't have that same argument. You didn't work that same logic. But over here now you want to work the logic. If over here you want to work the logic to say that or with Assassin's Creed Shadows of Yasuke, if you want to work the logic to say that they had an original storyline and you want to make a historical accurate game, right? And Yasuke is not historically accurate, you could have said the same thing about Last Samurai. You could have said the same thing about John Henry Blackthorne and Shogun. You could have said the same thing about 47 Ronin. But you didn't apply that with those, but you're applying it here all of a sudden. Is what I call a logical hypocrisy, right? The logic makes sense, is that you don't apply it. You pick and choose or cherry pick where to apply the logic. You see what I'm saying? What I want to say now. My other argument is that everybody wants to cancel Assassin's Creed Shadows. And the argument surrounding that is a disrespect to Japanese culture and Japanese men, when Western white men never had respect for Asian men. Look at all the movies where Asian men, the Western movies that are produced, where you have Asian men in it, where the Asian man in there is literally a punk. You know what I'm saying? Literally a beneath the white dudes that's on there. He's soft, he's weak, according to Western movies. This is why a lot of Asians have a lot of big problem with Western culture and Western Hollywood, because how it portrays and depicts Asian in an inferior role. See what I'm saying? So Western culture, white men never had respect for Japanese culture, Japanese men. But now all of a sudden, Yasuke, that was never an issue in Japanese culture, is now disrespecting to Japanese culture. Another instance of logical hypocrisy, because the logic didn't apply when it was a white male face doing the disrespecting of Asian men or and their culture, but all of a sudden you want to apply that same logic to a black man that's Yasuke. See, I'm not afraid to being direct. I'm not afraid to calling it out directly. So with me, I can't come back and say plausible deniability because I'm saying it and I put my face to it. Because I know I can stand on the history of Hollywood. I know I can stand on I'm 32 years old. I love watching movies. And that's all we've seen in movies. The body of work is there to showcase that Western culture and white men in Western studios never had respect for for Japanese culture or any Asian culture. You see what I'm saying? Um, the argument. See, now the same argument with Yasuke is the same argument with Miles Morales in Spider-Man. They were saying that was diversity hire. They were saying that he's replacing Peter Parker, even though it's a multiverse, right? And Peter Parker is not, and Miles Morales is not gender swapping or race swapping with Peter Parker. Miles Morales is his own black Spider-Man. What's wrong with having their own black Spider-Man? And I think where people but they're not going to say it directly again, is they have an issue with Miles Morales' love interest being Spider-Gwen or the white girl that's on the movie. I think that's the big issue. But they're not going to say that out loud or directly. See what I'm saying? But everybody was cool with James Bond having a relationship with Halle Berry's character in 007. Nobody had an issue. These same white dudes was cool with Monster Ball. And a lot of other movies where the black girl was the love interest and the white dude was pursuing the black girl. But all of a sudden now, black guy with Asian girl, black guy with white girl, it's offensive to a lot of you. So I'm saying, so the same thing happened with Miles Morales. I see the same thing happen here with Yasuke. Even though Yasuke is a historical person that had more of a significance to or importance to Oda Nobunaga than just a weapons bearer or a slave or a pet or a fool, as some of you want to call him, and saying that Oda Nobunaga was being racist toward Yasuke. That's what y'all are saying. And in the same sentence, you're saying he was a mysterious character. If he's a mysterious character, you don't know if once you say he was a mysterious character, you don't know if he was a slave or not. You don't know if he was a fool. You don't know if he was a weapons bearer. If he's mysterious, you don't know. You can fill in the blanks with that. You see what I'm saying? Now, was it true that Yasuke was a slave? Yes. He was a slave to a Portuguese Jesuit that brought him over there, who he was a bodyguard to. See what I'm saying? But did Oda Nobunaga treat him that way? According to the literature, according to the book, the Chronicles of Oda Nobunaga, he wasn't treated that way. Oda Nobunaga gave him I forgot what they were. I don't know if it was a fief. Oda Nobunaga paid him, gave him money, gave him a place to stay. And you guys say he was just a vessel. Well, in Japanese culture, a vessel is like a retainer. It's technically a samurai. Which I showed that with the videos on my channel already. You feel me? So, you know, and I've already discussed what my disagreement with Yasuke being in that game. I wish Ubisoft had made a game outside of the Assassin's Creed franchise series and made it specifically about Yasuke. You see what I'm saying? Because now, because of this in an Assassin's Creed game, and somehow people believe that Assassin's Creed is supposed to be this game about historical accuracy. It's never been about that. It's never been about historical accuracy. Leonardo da Vinci making, or Leonardo da Vinci making, I think in one of the games it said that Leonardo da Vinci or the Da Vinci was making some kind of bomb or some kind of guns. That wasn't fucking historical accurate, but y'all never argued that shit. In Odyssey, when you had the I forgot their names in Odyssey, where you had people running around fighting minotaurs and deities, and none of that shit was accurate. None of you argued that. None of you cared to argue about that. But all of a sudden, you want to challenge the historical accuracy of Assassin's Creed now? You should have challenged that shit with Odyssey. You should have challenged that shit with Leonardo da Vinci. You should have challenged that shit a long time ago. Now, again, my disagreement with it is now that now a black face is in the middle of a cultural war, a political war, and woke war, and all this other bullshit war. Now it's a blackface in the middle of it. And now that character is going to be degraded now. And now Ubisoft is not going to do it again because of the response they got with it now. How they're getting it now. So now Ubisoft can come back and say, well, we're not going to put a black male protagonist because of how the reaction or the responses we got from it. So in my opinion, if Ubisoft wanted to make a game with a black male protagonist, Assassin's Creed Shadows was not the game. Or if you was gonna make an Assassin's Creed game with a black male face in it, it should have been about the Haitian Revolution. It should have been about the Jamaicans and how they had to fight the Spaniards and how they had to fight the Brits for their freedoms. Or it could have been about how black Americans had to fight against their freedoms here in America during slavery, during sharecropping, during Jim Crow, during the 80s and the 80s and the 90s. Black folks fighting during the Civil War. Black folks, and one of their first in America, there was a slave rebellion in the 1500s, right? You could have did a story about the Masons, how there was the first black Masonic lodge was created. I got the brother's name again, but the first black Masonic lodge that was created by a brother that was from Barbados. He created African Lodge number 1 and African Lodge number 2. So Ubisoft, you could have did, if you wanted to have a black male protagonist, you could have made games about that, those stories, and put black men in a revolutionary, standing on business, coming together to create a brotherhood of black men to fight and rebel against their slave master or their oppressor here in America or in the Western Hemisphere or in the diaspora. You could have made that game. But instead you chose to make a game set in Japan, putting a black character in there that really nobody really knows about, even though there's literature that's there that tells you what he is. And now it opens up Yasuke to get his character or the potency or the quality of his character to get degraded by racist people that's on the internet, that's hiding their racism. Because racism is elusive, right? And it's elusive because you can make arguments surrounding by your true intentions. And then if you call out their true intentions, they can come back and say, well, it's plausible deniability. This is what I meant, even though this what they meant is not really what they meant. So that's how elusive racism can be. Right? So this move, even though I'm gonna buy Assassin's Creed Shadows, this move that Ubisoft played, it's a bad play. Because now black men, especially here in the diaspora, in the Caribbean and in the Americas, we're the ones that's going to get the backlash of it. Because when you think about black men, you think about the diaspora. You think about black Americans. You might think about a Jamaican. You might think about a Haitian. You might think about a Caribbean black. when you think about black men. You feel me? So, um, I don't think Ubisoft thought it would have been an issue because of the political space we're in, or was in when they were creating the game. Um, but apparently it is. And I think what Ubisoft didn't fail to realize is that in the gaming community, you've had a lot of white male racist men in the gaming community. Is that all of the men in there? No. I don't want to say it's a lot of them that's there, but it's quite a bit of them that's there. You know what I'm saying? Um, but also to tackle a lot of you black dudes that's on talking about you're not gonna buy the game because it's woke and political agenda. Shut the hell up. Shut all the way up. Most of you black dudes have bought games that were woke and had political agendas in this space. You watch movies with political agendas that push a certain narrative and put you in a bad light. You watch those movies and you buy them games and you enjoy them games. So shut your face, black dudes that's on here. Y'all are liars and capping. And a lot of you black dudes are shields for a lot of these white gaming people, gaming content creators. That's what you are. And you spend too much time with them white dudes and them white incels that you've become them. I get it if you black dudes said, well, we enjoy Yasuke, but we kind of want to see a game with us, our own game with us in it. You know, with our stories in it. We don't want to see Yasuke, because that's the other thing. We don't want to see a black man promoting whatever bullshit the woke people of Japan is promoting and whatever they got going on over there in Japan. I get it if you made that argument. I would respect that argument even more. If that's a better argument I just made for y'all. I would respect that argument if black men said, well, we don't, the reason why we're not going to buy Yasuke or play Assassin's Creed Shadows is because we don't want Yasuke or play a game about black men promoting some kind of BS political agenda over there that the Japanese is trying to do. I get it if you were saying that. But you're saying flat out you're not going to buy the game because it's being woke or it's pushing some kind of LGBT content when you've bought games that's done that. You've bought games that's done that. You've bought games. You watch a lot of black content on in your movies where a black man is either LGBT or part of the rainbow group, and you've accepted it, and you watched it, and you've enjoyed it, and you paid for it, and you bought it, and all of a sudden you're not gonna buy Assassin's Creed Shadows because it's woke and it's LGBT. That's BS, bro. That's a bad argument to make. Unless you're gonna say, like I said again, you don't like seeing black men uh, pushing other people's agenda to promote whatever they. Well, I kind of contradicted myself, so let me clean that up, right? I get it if black men said who are against Assassin's Creed Shadows said that well, the reason why we're not gonna purchase this game is because what it looks like is that they're just using a black character to promote whatever woke agenda or whatever political nonsense that's going on over there in Japan. Because everybody's down with the patriarchy, everybody's doing that madness nowadays. So I see a lot of that going on in Japan right now too, right? I get it if you were saying that, right? But you're not saying that. You're saying you're not gonna buy the game because just it's political agenda. Let me try to clean that up, right? Let me try to clean that up. Because my issue with the black men that's in the gaming community on YouTube that are saying that, like a Tyrone Bagnus or other content creators that saying they're not going to buy the game because it's woke, is because of what I said earlier. They've played and bought games where it was woke before and they never had an issue. They still spent their money. They watch content that showcases LGBT and wokeness, right? So I get it if they said you don't want black men to advertise or push an agenda that's going to disrespect another other people's culture or their way of life. That's a better argument right there, right? But that's not how they phrase the argument. They're just saying they're not going to buy the game because it represents woke culture. It's pushing woke. When they've bought games that they bought games where it was pushing woke culture already, and they spent money on it. You see what I'm saying? They can't even use the argument that I just said, because they've bought a lot of the black people in on these gaming community spaces. They accept when black women push content about quote unquote GA, that's the code word, or LGBT black men. They're okay when black women push that kind of content. They watch Tyler Perry wear a dress, right? They consume this content and they buy that content. They play video games where it pushes that about black men. But all of a sudden, you're not going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows because of that. So, my bad. You can't even use the argument that I say that you're tired of watching black men, because I'm tired of watching that. I speak for myself. I'm tired of watching them using black men to push certain political agendas that's maybe disrespectful to other people's culture and our culture. But that's me. These other niggas you see on the internet, they've never made that stance. I've never heard them come out and make that stance. Like a Tyrone Magnus. I've never heard them come out and make that stance. They've been silent and cool with Tyler Perry. They've been cool with video games making black men out to be either the T word, the letter T of the LGBT community. They've been cool with that. They've been accepting of it. But all of a sudden, you're not going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows because the black dude's in it, because it's pushing something woke? Bullshit. But this video wasn't going to be long. I just had to put my thoughts to the whole situation with Ubisoft. Now, again, Ubisoft, this is to y'all. Like, I agree with a lot of the gaming community and the industry that y'all been pushing a lot of messed up games. You've been pushing games like with Ghost Recon now, right? Ghost Recon Wildlands was perfect. It was good. All you had to do was build off the Wildlands platform and make a better game with Breakthrough. But no, you decided to go in a totally different direction that the fans wasn't even asking for. So yeah, Ubisoft, you've been pushing a lot of garbage games lately, with the exception of Star Wars. Personally, for me, because I never played the game, I've heard the friends that I'm friends with on Xbox play the game, and they've enjoyed the game, the Star Wars game you guys made. But all the games prior to that Star Wars game, you guys have made a lot of lackluster games. You see what I'm saying? I thought, you know, and and it's the same thing with EA and a lot of and 343 and a lot of the gaming companies over the past couple of years, where they've pushed. Look at the issue with Halo. Look at EA with Battlefield. Look at EA with Anthem. I think one of those companies. I forgot what company made Outriders. But look at Outriders. Look at a lot of games that's been produced from various different big AAA companies over the past couple of years that have crashed. So obviously, there's something going on in the gaming industry. Why? Look at the consoles. Look at the Xbox. Look at Sony. You know what I'm saying? Sony pushing for PlayStation 5 Pro, and they call it a PlayStation 5 Pro, but it's missing certain things. So I don't know how that could be Pro. And then now you're going to charge people $1,000, for a new PlayStation 5 Pro, but it's missing certain features that it's missing certain features that the original PlayStation 5 had. But you're going to charge more for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Then come to find out, Sony's paying certain games to be exclusive to them. No, let me say that better. So, like games like Predator Hunting Grounds, right? That just now come to Xbox. Apparently, Sony. Apparently, uh, The owners or the production of Predator Hunting Grounds, they want to go multi-platform. But Sony, this is what being said. This is what's being said, allegedly. Sony was allegedly paying that company to make Hunting Grounds exclusively for PlayStation 5 when they wanted to go multi-platform. I just loaded up. I was just playing a while ago before I went live. I was playing Predator Hunting Grounds. There's a lot of people playing that game on Xbox and buying the game. I bought the game, and hopefully it comes to Game Pass, so a lot of people can have access to it on the Xbox. And I guarantee you now that um, they have that Square. I forgot. I think it's Square Enix, or I forgot which creator or what's the name of the company. I guarantee now that that game has opened up multi-platform to Xbox, right? That they're gonna make more money and they can further update and fix the game. You feel me? Um, because even though you can say that Xbox doesn't have more exclusives than PlayStation 5, but because of Game Pass, it's a better console for you to have your game on. Because if you can put your game on Game Pass, people play it, people still gonna buy the DLC content, people still gonna buy the games on it. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. Based upon not in my opinion, based on the objectivity of what I see, right? People buy Game Pass, they buy the game. A lot of people buy Game Pass to get the game, play the game for free. And then it's not really free. You got to get the Game Pass to play the game. You get to then on that. If it's on Game Pass, you get the game a certain percentage off, and then you buy the DLC. There's a lot of people doing Xbox. So Xbox may not be an exclusive, have too many exclusive games like Sony, but it's a better platform to buy games on and play the games on. Better quality, especially with multiplayer experience. You feel me? Um, Xbox and Microsoft, yeah, really need to do a better job with your home games like Halo. Halo should be your star player. Gears of War should be your star. That's your second home game. That should be your stars player. Halo and Gears should get an infinite amount of love and respect and nurture and nature. Those are your games. Halo helped to build Xbox. And the fact that y'all let that game crash like that, and then Bungie goes and switches, and well, which I don't disagree with Bungie making their own game. That's cool, but Destiny is not as big as Halo Infinite. You feel me? But anyway, this is my small video, short video. Hope it gets out to the masses. Hope people see it. And again, this is Kid Shorty Gaming Nation, and I'm out.